Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Relationships with Rach. Please subscribe to the channel. Let's keep this thing going. So this week is all about singles out there. Whether you're in a relationship, whether you're dating, whether it's serious, you're thinking about marriage, or whether you haven't found the right person yet, but you hope to one day, you do hope to get married. So this segment right here is for you. I'm going to be talking about 4 must-have conversations you need to have with your partner before you say I do. As I always say, if you haven't gotten married, then it's fine. There is no problem. There is a lot you can still resolve. There is a lot you can still think about. You can change your mind, things of that nature. But when you've crossed that part to married, then there's really so much you can do. So these are 4 must-have conversations you need to have with your significant other before you get married. And the number 1 thing is money. Money matters. You need to have the conversation about money. We need to stop pretending as if it's only superficial people that talk about money, or you're materialistic if you bring up the issue of money. No. Money makes the world go around. We need money. That is how the world moves. Everything revolves around money. So it's an important conversation to have with your partner before you get married. Especially we women, I know we want comfort, we want security, we want that closet with all of our shoes. So you need to know where the money is going to be coming from. Are you guys going to be splitting the bills and the family? Where is the income coming from? Where are you going to buy your first house, if you're going to buy a house? Or where are you going to be renting? All of those stuff. How are you going to pay for your wedding, if you're going to have a lavish wedding, or if you're going to have a small wedding? Actually, I don't think there is a small wedding. I don't think there is such a thing as a small wedding, because by the time you really start spending all this money, it's like, wow, oh my god. So there is really no small expenses, and these are the things you need to talk about. Some people, they don't want all of that. They just, you know what, let's go to the court and let's go for our honeymoon. And some people just want bam, they want that wedding. They want, especially for some of we Africans, we want to tie our head tie and wear our native dresses and everything like that. So these are the conversations you need to have. Very important. As a man, are you going to be taking business risks? And how is that going to affect the family? Is she going to be open to that? Like if you decide, I'm just going to quit my job because I want to start my own business, or I want to do some investment or whatever. These are the kind of conversations you need to have. Like, hey, if you're not making as much money as we used to, or if something happens, maybe I lost my job, God forbid, what is going to happen to this relationship? These are very important, because hey, life happens, things happen. So you need to have this conversation. Very, very critical. You need to talk about money. Money matters. Money is stated as one of the top reasons for divorce. I believe maybe the number 2 reason why people get divorced. So why not talk about it? Let's be open about this. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's get some education, some knowledge. Maybe you need to take some classes about finances or something like that. You just need to know about this. So number 2, you need to talk about sex and infidelity. It is very important to have this conversation as well. It also tops one of the reasons why people get divorced. You need to talk about sex. You need to talk about infidelity. What happens if one of you, God forbid, mess up? You need to talk about your relationship with the opposite sex, especially if you're that kind of person that likes to have friends of the opposite sex. Like, how does your partner feel about that? Is she open to it? Is he open to it? Is he okay with that, for you having close friends with other people or things of that nature? You need to have conversations about it. Are you sexually compatible? I know some people don't want to have sex before marriage. They're keeping themselves. and that's wonderful. But you can still have conversations about these things. You need to have conversations about it. You need to talk about it. You don't want to get into it and then find out maybe we are not really like, because sexual compatibility also happens to be one of the things that makes marriage work. According to a Pew Research, I believe they said maybe 64% of married couples say sexual satisfaction tops the reason for a successful marriage. So it's important to have that conversation as well with your significant other. And another conversation you need to have is about culture. Culture matters. Culture matters, particularly for those that are marrying into the African culture. Like, there's no African culture, you have different culture, but if you're marrying an African, whether you're an outsider or you're a fellow African, you need to have a conversation about this, because the fact that you may be from the same race or even the same ethnicity does not really mean you have the same culture, or does not really mean that you believe the same thing or you have the same set of values. So you need to have this conversation about culture. How does culture play into the relationships? For example, as a Yoruba woman, my culture dictates some certain things, how I'm supposed to act towards my in-laws and all of that stuff. And the same is demanded of the husband, whether he's an outsider or he's a fellow Yoruba person or Nigerian or whatever. So these things you need to know. I once learned that when you're getting married to a person, you're getting married to at least 3 to 4 different cultures. And one is the culture of the tribe. For example, I'm from Nigeria. We have different ethnicities. We have Yoruba, we have Igbo, Hausa, and all other ethnicities. And I'm a Yoruba person. And the things that we value, our set of values, is slightly different from that of the Igbos and other cultures. So these things you need to know, because they shape a person. Whether you like it or not, whether we think about it or not, culture does play a role in a person's life. And there is also the culture of the family. For example, some family, they are business oriented. Some family, they are professionals. You will see something like, my father is a doctor, my grandfather is a doctor, was a doctor, my great grandfather was a doctor, I want my child to be a doctor. So if you're marrying into a family like that, you need to know these things, because you may end up with somebody that is more like open-minded about the kind of profession they want their child to pursue. So is it going to cause an issue? These are the conversations you need to have. And then there is also the culture of the person, which is shaped by the person's experience, their background, their education, their environment, and things like that. And we're trying to merge all of these things together in a marriage. So you see, there might be some conflict and some tensions you need to have conversations about. You need to know, what is this person's perspective on some certain issues? How will culture play into our relationship? It doesn't matter. We are all a product of our culture. Whether we are rebels, maybe we don't want to follow it exactly, or whether we are conformers to the core. Culture does play a role in each and every one of our lives. So you need to have that conversation. Number 4, you need to talk about family, especially extended family, but also your own nuclear family. Like, hey, how many kids do we want to have? How do we want to raise our kids? How do we want to split the chores? If you are going to be splitting the chores, who's going to be doing the cooking? Things of that nature. You need to have conversations about it. But then you also need to have conversations about extended family, especially for those people that have responsibilities towards extended family. You need to talk about these things. Don't assume anything. Don't assume that your spouse is going to be cool with it. Like, some people, they are responsible for the upkeep of their extended family. Maybe they still have to be paying their parents' bills with their own bills, or they need to send their siblings to college, things of that nature. So you need to have these conversations with your spouse. I know of situations whereby after people get married, the mother-in-law ends up living with the couple. and the woman, like the wife in some cases, just like, I did not bargain for this. I did not know this was going to happen. This was not part of what I signed up for. So you need to have that kind of conversations. If you know there is a possibility that something like that may happen, or if you're responsible for your family to some certain extent, you need to have the conversation, because hey, even the money you're making for yourself, you may have to divide it between your nuclear family and the extended family. So things like that can affect a marriage, and you just need to talk about it before you say I do. So that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Once again, please subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll see you again next week as I discuss another interesting topic. Have a great week, everybody. Bye bye.